My life has changed in monumental ways since I started coming to Crossroads. It was almost 3 years ago, and at that point I was facing something in my marriage that I knew wasn't right, and I knew wasn't the way that God intended. My children had never ever been to a church, never knew what that was like, and neither had I. Within the next 3 years, my marriage ended, but in a way that I really felt like it needed to. My children, who are now 5 and 7, they're the biggest testament to coming to this church. My kids know how to pray on their own. My daughter knows that she has a Heavenly Father. My son knows what Jesus is and what Jesus does. I'd never had a faith prior. When people talked about church and community and what it was like to know that there was a God for them, I never understood that. And I learned what that meant, even in the hardest parts of my life. I've never joined a church before. And in August of 2010, I stood in front of the church and joined after going through the new members class. And throughout my whole experience with the church, I then felt like I needed to learn the Bible. I needed to know what it meant. I didn't even understand really how people read it or how did they know what pages to turn to. And I took Starting Point. And in that class, it was critical to me because I totally got what it meant when people said, you know, how can there be sin in the world, or how can there be these hard things? And I really learned how to ask some of those questions. Towards the end of my, experience with some of these classes, and I was going through this and I just felt things were changing within me, I knew that who I was and who I was becoming were very different. And it really became important for me to have a public expression of my faith. So last August, I was baptized, and my children were there. They were able to see me welcomed into God's kingdom in a very new way. I felt that that was my chance and my renewal. And I look back on that day now and realize what a journey it's been and how amazing His grace has been on my life. And being able to have that experience with family around and my children is something that to this day gets me so emotional. And I'm just grateful that I found this church and was able to even understand what that meant.